When we hear about people who live past 100, most of us imagine a quiet life filled with rest, naps, and a slower pace. But Dr. Shigeaki Hinohara, one of Japan's most famous physicians, completely broke that expectation. He didn't just live past 100, he worked past 100. He continued to see patients, give lectures, and write books well into his 105th year. His story isn't just about long life, it's about boundless energy, purpose, and the habits that kept him active while others his age slowed down. Why does this matter to us today? Because in an age where so many people feel drained by their 50s or 60s, Hinohara's life raises an inspiring question. How is it possible for a man over 100 to have more energy than many people half his age? Instead of retiring at 65 like most, he pushed forward with vigor, still climbing stairs, still writing articles, and still motivating people with his contagious enthusiasm for life. His example shows us that aging doesn't have to mean decline. It can mean vitality if we choose the right approach. Science today agrees with much of what Dr. Hinohara lived out. Modern research into aging tells us that energy is not simply a matter of youth, but of lifestyle, mindset, and daily habits. While genes do play a role in longevity, how we live, our diet, our purpose, our activity levels, and even our outlook on life has a much bigger influence than we might imagine. For example, studies from blue zones around the world, such as Okinawa in Japan, Sardinia in Italy, and Nicoya in Costa Rica, reveal that the longest living people share certain traits. They remain active daily, even in small ways like gardening or walking. They eat lightly and avoid overeating. They stay socially connected and find meaning in their lives. Dr. Hinohara embodied all of these principles, not because he studied them, but because he lived them naturally. He became a living proof of what science would later confirm. Lifestyle beats genetics when it comes to long-term energy. But perhaps the most remarkable thing about Dr. Hinohara was his attitude. He often said that the secret to his energy was not focusing too much on rules or rigid schedules, but instead living with curiosity and passion. He kept learning, kept creating, and kept moving forward. In fact, even in his later years, he would give more than 100 public lectures per year, each lasting up to 90 minutes, and astonishingly, he delivered them standing up. Just think about that for a moment. Many younger people complain about standing for too long, yet this centenarian spoke energetically for hours without showing signs of fatigue. This teaches us an important lesson. Energy is not only physical, it's deeply tied to purpose. When you are engaged in something meaningful, your body seems to follow along. Dr. Hinohara never chased retirement as an escape from work. Instead, he believed his calling as a doctor gave him purpose each day. That sense of purpose became fuel, perhaps the greatest source of energy that kept him going even as his body aged. We can also reflect on how his example challenges some of the common beliefs about getting older. Many people think aging means avoiding activity, slowing down, and protecting yourself from too much strain. But Hinohara showed that the opposite is true. Staying active and engaged actually preserves your vitality. He would often take the stairs instead of the elevator, even in his 90s and beyond. This small choice, repeated daily, kept his muscles strong, his heart active, and his spirit youthful. And here's a relatable way to think about it. Imagine two people in their 70s. One spends most of the day sitting, watching TV, and limiting movement out of fear of overdoing it. The other keeps walking, keeps gardening, keeps cooking, and finds little ways to stay in motion. Who do you think will feel more alive, more energetic, and more capable in their 80s and 90s? The science is clear: the one who stays active. Dr. Hinohara's life is the ultimate example of this truth. In today's world, where people often feel burned out in midlife, Hinohara's story is a refreshing reminder that energy is not used up like a battery. It's renewed through movement, curiosity, and purpose. He showed that even past 100, it's possible to wake up excited about life. As we look deeper into his habits, we'll discover that his longevity and energy were not an accident. They were the result of specific, deliberate choices. When people asked Dr. Shigeaki Hinohara about his secret to boundless energy, his first answer was simple: don't eat too much and keep your body light. This was his foundational move. The idea that eating less, eating simply, and avoiding excess not only protected his health but also gave him the energy to stay active well beyond 100. For most of his life, Hinohara practiced what today we would call moderation. He avoided heavy meals and instead ate lightly, often favoring simple foods like vegetables, fish, and small portions of rice. He was famously known for skipping breakfast, eating only coffee, milk, and a little orange juice mixed with olive oil in the morning. For lunch, He would have cookies and milk, and for dinner, he enjoyed vegetables, a small portion of fish, and sometimes rice. To many, this might sound minimal, but it worked for him because it prevented him from ever feeling sluggish. Science strongly supports his wisdom. Research into calorie restriction, the practice of eating slightly less than what the body burns, shows consistent benefits across many species, including humans. People who eat fewer calories but still get the necessary nutrients often live longer, have lower risks of chronic disease, and maintain better energy levels. Why? Because overeating forces the body to constantly process extra energy, leading to weight gain, inflammation, and fatigue. By contrast, eating lightly keeps the metabolism steady, reduces strain on the digestive system, and helps maintain energy throughout the day. Hinohara himself explained it with a touch of humor. He said people should live like children, having fun, and not worrying too much about eating and sleeping at set times. He believed that too many adults live their lives by rules of must eat or must sleep, and that this mindset makes them rigid and less joyful. By staying light, flexible, and not bound by heavy meals, he could stay focused on the things he loved: working, writing, teaching, and caring for patients. The benefits of this first key move are easy to see in daily life. Think about how you feel after a large, heavy meal. Many people feel tired, sluggish, or even irritable. Their body diverts energy toward digestion, leaving less energy for movement and focus. On the other hand, when you eat smaller, lighter meals, you often feel more alert and ready to engage with the world. Dr. Hinohara lived by this principle for more than a century, proving its long-term effects. It's also interesting to compare his diet with traditional Japanese eating habits. In Okinawa, for instance, one of the world's most famous blue zones, elders practice a cultural habit called hara hachibu, which means eat until you're 80% full. This practice prevents overeating and is directly linked to longer lifespans and lower rates of chronic illness. Hinohara's approach was similar, and his remarkable health and energy were the living proof. But his wisdom went beyond food. He used eating lightly as a metaphor for living lightly. He believed that by not carrying unnecessary weight, whether it's physical weight from overeating or mental weight from stress, you could move through life with freedom and energy. This way of thinking gave him an almost youthful perspective, even in his old age. Imagine an elderly man climbing stairs in his 90s. For most people, the thought sounds exhausting. But for Hinohara, it was natural, because his body was never burdened by excess weight or unhealthy habits. He practiced restraint in his eating, but abundance in his purpose and curiosity. This balance gave him the unique ability to keep working and creating when many people would have long since retired. Of course, eating lightly doesn't mean starving yourself or cutting out enjoyment. Dr. Hinohara still loved sweets like chocolate, and he enjoyed small pleasures without guilt. The key was moderation, never too much, never too heavy. He proved that you can still enjoy food while keeping your energy high, as long as you don't let indulgence control your habits. For seniors today, his message is especially powerful. Many older adults face health challenges related to overeating or poor diet, diabetes, heart disease, high blood pressure. Hinohara's lifestyle offers a hopeful reminder that simple changes, like smaller portions and mindful eating, can restore vitality at any age. Even in your 70s or 80s, adopting this habit can lead to noticeable improvements in energy and mood. So if there is one lesson we can take from Dr. Hinohara's first key move, it is this: keep your body light so your spirit can stay strong. Energy is not about stuffing ourselves with fuel, but about giving the body just enough, in the right way, so that it can thrive. If eating lightly was Dr. Shigeaki Hinohara's first key move for lasting energy, his second was just as vital: staying active in both body and mind. While many people believe old age is a time to slow down, Hinohara did the opposite. He stayed in motion, physically, mentally, and socially, every single day. This habit was central to his ability to continue working and inspiring others long past 100. Hinohara didn't see movement as exercise in the strict, modern sense. He didn't go to the gym or follow a workout plan. Instead, he lived a naturally active life. He would regularly take the stairs instead of the elevator, even when he was well into his 90s. He walked often, sometimes for long stretches, and never allowed himself to become sedentary. To him, sitting still for long periods was the true enemy of energy. Science once again agrees with his instincts. Countless studies confirm that physical activity is one of the strongest predictors of healthy aging. Regular movement keeps the heart strong, the muscles resilient, and the mind sharp. Even small activities, like climbing stairs, carrying groceries, or tending a garden, accumulate over time, providing enormous benefits. Sedentary behavior, on the other hand, is linked to frailty, memory decline, and chronic disease. What makes Hinohara's approach even more remarkable is that he paired physical activity with mental activity. He believed the brain needed just as much exercise as the body. That's why he continued to see patients, write articles, and give lectures long after most of his peers had retired. In fact, he authored over 150 books in his lifetime, including one at age 100 and one that became a bestseller in Japan. He loved learning, teaching, and sharing ideas, and he never stopped. His schedule alone was astonishing. Even in his 90s and early 100s, he would give more than 100 lectures a year, each lasting about 90 minutes, often delivered while standing. Imagine the stamina required for that. Most people much younger would find such a schedule exhausting, but Hinohara thrived on it. Why? Because his work wasn't a burden, it was his passion. It kept his mind sharp, his social connections alive, and his sense of purpose strong. There's a powerful lesson here for all of us. Activity fuels energy, while inactivity drains it. Many people believe rest is the best cure for fatigue, but often the opposite is true. When we move our bodies and engage our minds, energy seems to multiply. Hinohara's life proves that keeping busy with meaningful work doesn't wear you out, it actually keeps you going. To put this into perspective, think about someone who retires early with the dream of finally doing nothing. At first, the rest feels good, but over time, boredom creeps in, and the lack of stimulation can lead to both mental and physical decline. Contrast that with someone who keeps learning, volunteering, or pursuing hobbies. They often remain more energetic and healthier into old age. Dr. Hinohara chose the second path, and it made all the difference. Even beyond his career, he modeled active living in small choices. He was known to travel often, even in his later years, and he never shied away from busy schedules. He would often work late into the night, then rise early the next day, eager to continue. When asked why he pushed himself so much, he explained that having a sense of mission gave him energy. He believed the more you give, the more energy flows back to you. For seniors today, this lesson is invaluable. You don't need to be a doctor or write books to apply it. Staying active can be as simple as walking daily, engaging with grandchildren, joining a community group, or taking up a new hobby like painting, reading, or gardening. The key is to avoid isolation and inactivity. Just as muscles weaken without use, the mind dulls without stimulation. Hinohara showed that activity, both physical and mental, is the antidote. Of course, it's important to recognize that he didn't push himself recklessly. He respected his body's limits but refused to let fear of aging stop him. He found balance by doing what he loved, and in doing so, movement became a source of joy, not a chore. This mindset turned activity into something that fueled him, rather than drained him. So, what can we take away from his second key move? It's this: stay in motion, keep your mind sharp, and never let age convince you to stop growing. Hinohara taught us that energy doesn't disappear with time. It disappears when we stop moving and stop engaging with life. His secret was not to withdraw, but to lean in, to stay curious, and to remain part of the world, not just an observer of it. The third and perhaps most profound key move that kept Dr. Shigeaki Hinohara energetic past 100 was his outlook on life and unwavering sense of purpose. If food and movement kept his body in shape, it was his mindset that kept his spirit alive. He often said that the real secret to longevity wasn't just what you ate or how much you moved, but why you got up in the morning. For Hinohara, the answer was simple: he lived to serve others. His mission as a doctor was not just a profession, it was his calling. Even into his centenarian years, he continued treating patients, mentoring young doctors, and sharing his wisdom through lectures and books. He believed that life wasn't about chasing comfort or retirement, it was about staying useful. As he put it, it's wonderful to live long. Until one is 60, it is easy to work for one's family and to achieve one's goals. But in our later years, we should work for society. That philosophy gave him an endless well of motivation. This mindset aligns closely with modern psychological research on aging. Studies consistently show that seniors with a strong sense of purpose live longer, recover faster from illness, and even have lower risks of dementia and depression. Purpose acts like an invisible fuel. It makes people resilient, hopeful, and energized. When life has meaning, the challenges of aging feel lighter. Hinohara also had a unique perspective on time. He once explained that too many people live as though time is something they can control, but in reality, life is unpredictable. Instead of obsessing over rigid schedules, he believed in living with curiosity and flow. If inspiration struck, he would stay up late writing. If an opportunity came to speak to an audience, he would take it joyfully. He rarely measured his life in hours or minutes, but in moments of contribution and joy. This free-spirited view of time helped him avoid the stress that weighs so many people down. Stress, as we know, drains energy, but curiosity and excitement release energy. By choosing to live with wonder and gratitude, Hinohara turned each day into a gift rather than a burden. Imagine the difference. One person wakes up dreading the day ahead, while another wakes up curious about what the day might bring. The second person almost always feels more energetic. That was Hinohara's secret in action. He also believed in forgiveness and not carrying emotional weight. Just as he ate lightly to keep his body free, he lived lightly by letting go of grudges and regrets. Bitterness and resentment, he felt, were poisons to the soul, draining energy from within. Instead, he practiced kindness, optimism, and gratitude. These traits not only made him beloved by others but also reinforced his own vitality. After all, positive emotions have been shown to reduce stress hormones and improve immune function, both crucial for long life. Another striking part of Hinohara's outlook was his refusal to let age define him. He didn't see 90, 100, or even 105 as a reason to stop dreaming. He constantly set new goals, wrote new books, and shared new lessons. This sense of forward momentum gave him a youthful energy that no number could take away. To him, life was never finished until it truly ended. So what does this mean for us? It means that no matter our age, we can choose purpose, curiosity, and gratitude as our guiding forces. For some, purpose may come from family, for others from volunteering, teaching, creating art, or mentoring the next generation. The key is to find something bigger than ourselves to live for. That purpose then becomes the secret engine that drives energy, even when the body slows down. In the end, Dr. Hinohara's life is not just a story about living long, it's a story about living well. He taught us 3 simple but powerful lessons: eat lightly, stay active in body and mind, and live with purpose. Together, these habits transformed him into a man who worked with joy and vigor beyond 100, defying the expectations of aging. For seniors listening today, his message is clear: age is not the end of energy. It is the beginning of a new chapter where wisdom, kindness, and purpose can shine brightest. You don't need to be a doctor or write best-selling books to follow his path. You only need to keep your body light, stay engaged with life, and nurture a reason to wake up each morning. As Dr. Hinohara showed us, longevity is not measured only in years, it's measured in how much life you pour into those years. With his example, we can all be reminded that hope, strength, and independence are not reserved for the young. They belong to anyone willing to live with curiosity, compassion, and purpose. So the next time you wonder where your energy has gone, think of Dr. Hinohara. At 105, he stood tall, still working, still serving, still smiling. His life whispers to us all, the real secret to energy is not found in youth, but in the way we choose to live each day.